for today's edition of What's on Michael's Mind, Michael, I already knew what it was going to be with you. As soon as I opened up Twitter today, I'm just doing my little scrolling.
You're so predictable.
And I see, saying goodbye to Daniel Snyder won't be hard today. What will be hard is removing the scars from his tenure. Of course, that coming from your account at Lombardi NFL. And I just knew that this was going to be the Dan Snyder What's on Michael's Mind.
Yeah, I just think, to me, this is a great day to be a Washington fan. And I must confess, I at one time was a Washington Redskin fan, and I knew the words to hell to the Redskins, and I was a part of that regime from 1970 until I finally gained employment in the National Football League in 1983. So I've always loved the team. I love the old uniforms, and I haven't loved what he's done to this franchise. From the moment he took over in 1999, he's destroyed it because of his narcissistic behavior, because he believes that he truly has all the answers. He would listen to no one. He fired Hall of Fame coaches, Marty Schottenheimer after one season, Mike Shanahan after 4 seasons. Joe Gibbs got him to the playoffs twice. But for the most part, everything he did was toxic. And I think Josh Harris is walking into a very, very challenging situation. And I don't know how deep the scars are in Washington, but I know they're fairly deep. And I know it's going to take a cleansing, and it's going to take time. I think a lot of people are just connecting. It's a new day. It's a new era, right? There's a liberation, if you will, in Washington. But being liberated and being free are two different things. And to gain freedom is going to take some time.
And what you pointed out there is so true of it being such on-field and off-field problems when it came to Dan Snyder. Everything that's obviously been unveiled here in recent history, but when you look at the on-field stuff, only Jay Gruden lasted more than 4 seasons under Snyder. Ron Rivera is in year 4 of a 5-year contract right now, but he should have been on the hot seat and is this season, obviously. But the team went 164, 220, and 2 in Snyder's 24 seasons. Only 5 other teams with a worse record in that time. What you know of Harris and what he has done with the Philadelphia 76ers, New Jersey Devils, another team that he's had ownership in, what do you think that he can specifically do for this organization?
Well, I think knowing him, from studying him in Philadelphia and just watching his behavior from the time he took over to when he went through the process, he's always hired people to allow them to run the team. Now, when he was running the 76ers, there was a lot of minority ownership groups that were involved. I mean, one of the reasons that Mikal Bridges isn't on the team is because one of the minority owners said, hey, look, Zaire Smith's numbers analytically are exactly like Mikal Bridges'. We should trade for, and get this first pick asset, and we'll end up with the same player plus the first. Well, that didn't work out. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of involvement from other people. But lately, since he's been able to own the Devils and he's kind of given the authority to the people that run the team. So it'll be interesting to see. He can't make any changes now. I think the best thing he can do is get a notebook out and just learn. And how much time is he going to spend in D.C.? How much time is he going to be around the team? He has a hedge fund business that he runs. He owns the 76ers, who have their own problems currently. James Harden decided to delete any contact at all with the Philadelphia 76ers. So the 76ers traded a player who wanted nothing to do with them for a player who eventually wanted nothing to do with them. We'll get to that later. So I think it's going to be a challenge for Harris. He's going to have to really spend some time in the D.C. area to learn what he's dealing with and not rely on what people are telling him from the league office or from the building.
The Washington Commanders win total this season sitting at 6.5, a plus 290 price for them to make the playoffs this year, 10-1 in the division as well. And by this time next week, they will have reported to training camp. Every NFL team will have at that point. We have 4 teams this week who are reporting. And Michael, you, as somebody who's been around the league for as long as you have, been around so many training camps, and now transitioning to being a part of this betting world and understanding that, for bettors who are listening to our program today, what are some things, some actionable things that we need to be taking note of during this time ahead of the season actually getting underway?
Well, let's just take Washington, for example. 6.5 wins. They had 8 wins last year, Stormy, and they had no quarterbacking play at all. Right? Carson Wentz hurt them more than helped them. they still got 8 wins because their defense was really good. Their defense was very effective. They couldn't create turnovers with their defense, but their defense was very effective. I think this 6.5 is really, I mean, the Vegas is giving them no respect whatsoever. I mean, this is insulting. They beat the Super Bowl loser on their own field in a game 1-1. They turned it over, but they beat that team. They also, played well enough during the season that they were able – they beat the Giants. They tied the Giants. I mean, they had some fiascos, don't get me wrong. They couldn't compete with the 49ers in terms of them, but I think they're just being grossly disrespected at 6.5. And look, Rivera has – one thing about Rivera, he's been coaching for 10 years. Every third year he has a good year. That's how he survived, right? He's only had 3 winning seasons in his entire tenure as a coach. And, the pressure's on. And I think that number 6.5 is reflective on no confidence in Sam Howell.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.